We're here today with Bruce Nordman, who lives up in the Vassar Park area of Canton. One of the leaders, there's several of you. Bruce Brewer is another one.
Yes, sir.
Of Group 175, a group dedicated to increasing the strength of manpower of the Canton Police Department and the Canton Fire Department. And Bruce, can you get us up to date of where you stand with the City of Canton, and specifically with the Mayor William J. Healy II administration on getting those numbers up to the 175 in the case of the police department? And you'll have to fill me in on what your goal is on the fire department.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Our goal for both the police and fire department is 175 firefighters and 175 policemen.
And right now there are how many policemen?
At this current moment, the police department is at 150 strength. The fire department has an all-time low of 140.
And now, just to inject a little humor into it, does that include Mayor Healy?
Mayor Healy has not agreed to give up any salary in this endeavor, so that figure does not include him, although he is on call to take care of truant matters.
Because the Attorney General just came down today and said it was okay for him to have gotten out into a car and stopped somebody in your neighborhood. So it does have the legitimacy of proper legality in terms of what he did.
Well,
but do you have a reaction, by the way, to that ruling?
To that ruling, the mayor is considered the chief law enforcement officer in his administration, and anything that the mayor can do to provide for the safety of the citizens is greatly appreciated. However, we really have a chief of police and we have the police department, and we would really like the mayor to spend that time finding a way to fund more policemen who the communities are in desperate need of full-time policemen in the city rather than a momentary part-time policeman, although I applaud his efforts in moving towards public safety in any way he can. It's just a matter of allocation of his time to get more officers than just one part-time mayor/policeman. So far, we are making progress, and I only said that in a jocular way. The mayor most certainly is concerned about public safety. We just want it sooner rather than later. At this point in time, the mayor has indicated that he is going to bring on 12 more policemen and 12 more firemen at the first of the year, which will bring the police strength to 162 and the fire department to 154. There are two federal grants that are both in effect now. One is for veterans, which our group is very involved with soliciting veterans for both the sheriff's department and for the fire and police of the city of Canton.
And you're working with Sheriff Meyer on that, correct?
With Sheriff Meyer, I will be in contact with him shortly, because at this point...
I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. That's for the deputies that he's trying to hire.
That's correct.
Are you going to do a similar thing with Canton?
We did have a job fair for the city of Canton. It did not produce the results that I was pleased with. However, we did get veterans signed on.
When did that occur?
That was about 4 weeks ago.
I see. And where was that?
That was at the American Legion, which was the same site that we used, the American Legion on Cleveland Avenue, Post 44, which was the same site that we used for the sheriff.
Why didn't you have as much success, do you think?
The reason being is that it was an on-again, off-again situation. It was moving along, and then all of a sudden it got canceled, and I can't determine how or who canceled it, but when I brought this to the mayor's attention and to Andrea Perry, who at the time was the interim safety director, it got put back on course. Going forward, my discussions with Sam Schleiman, who is the director for civil service for the city, and the mayor, was that should we run this event again for the city, that we would want to control this and present it in a PowerPoint presentation as we did with the sheriff. It was not done that way in this past situation, because, as I say, it was there was some difficulties within the city ranks that had to be reestablished to put it back on course, and we missed the impetus that we could have had. That being the understanding, I said to the mayor, as long as we can run it on the same basis that we did for the sheriff, we will be willing to undertake it. The sheriff needs veterans. We are the source to get veterans. I've had discussions with President Alan Schulman of the City Council. He is very much behind this. We're ready to spearhead this event
when it's announced. You just talked about the sheriff, but the city has that kind of a need too, right?
Absolutely. The city at this point, when the 12 new policemen are hired the first of the year, we'll bring it to 162. The goal is 175. It's an established figure. The fire department, with the 12 new firemen at the first of the year, will bring it to 154. The federal government, in a study that they did for the city of this size and the number of calls back in 2009, recommended the fire department be at 172. We just decided to round that number out. The fire department is one of our new customers, so to speak, in terms of providing public safety for the city.
And while you're on the fire department, are you familiar with the resolution that Canton City Council passed a week ago this past Monday, where they want the mayor, and he's resisting, to hire a fire captain?
3 fire captains.
It was a 3 fire captain. Thanks for the correction.
3 fire captains.
All right. And so you're familiar with that, and
yes,
what I'd like to have your response to the move by 8 council members, and then the apparent rejection of that resolution by the mayor in a newspaper report after the meeting. So I'd like you to cover that.
We wholeheartedly agree with the city council and with the fire chief that 3 captains are needed, amongst the fact that they need additional firemen. They need this because they need directors on site. These 3 captains are not hiring 3 new people. This is advancing people who took demotions when they took 6 captaincies away from the fire department during a budget crunch. So these are not new people. These are people that are already in the fire department that will be advanced to those grades, so there can be on-site supervision and the allocation of personnel that is needed in the field. The mayor's position is that the fire department, in his estimation, is top-heavy in rank. Our position is we need to get the fire department up to strength and to use the personnel that we have efficiently through direction on site. These are not desk-bound captains. These are going to be captains that are going to be on site with the equipment that are going to be directing fire activities and allocating equipment on the scene, which is badly needed.
In effect, they're going to be working as firemen on the scene. Is
Absolutely.
that correct?
Yeah, they're going to be on the site supervisors, as discussed with me by the fire department and members of the city council. We are urging the mayor, this is not a whole lot of money. When we did not hire or run the exam this past May, and the mayor let it expire, there should have been an exam for the firemen. Hence, the exam expired because under today's regulations, the exam list is only good for a year. So when that year expired, there was nobody to draw to hire any new firemen because there was no list to draw upon. The number that was, and it was a nice turnout of 231 people taking the fireman's exam.
And that took place when?
That was yesterday, on Tuesday, at the Civic Center, and next week on Tuesday at 4 o'clock at the Civic Center will be the police exam, and they currently have 276 candidates. They had 297 candidates for the fire, but only 231 showed up to take the exam. So the 60-some that weren't there are out of the picture until there is another exam.
Now, from this exam, you develop a list of eligible people for hire. Is that correct?
Correct. First step is the successful completion of the exam in terms of the minimum standards, and then they go forward for their physical and drug testing, and
So that's the first step in the process.
That's step one.
Okay.
So, out of this list, the typical success rate, and the mayor thinks it's higher than the figures that I've been given, but typically, from the start of the exam to the hiring process, you get about 15%. He seems to think it'll be higher. We'll see. Whatever it is. But there'll be enough candidates there to put in the first shot. In my discussion with the mayor, I said, and Sam Schleiman, who's eager to have another exam, because out of this group, you're going to have a very select few, some of which who may get another job in the process, and we're going to have to have another exam very soon in order to get this group in process, which will probably be conducted, the mayor says, in the next 6 months. I'd like to see how many we're going to hire off of what list, and then I think we can come to a good conclusion. I can tell you this, that Group 175 is going to be earnestly involved in the upcoming budget process, so that adequate monies are devoted to public safety, as we will have a new city council, and many of the members who are currently on board, plus the anticipated ones that will be elected, I think have that as one of their great priorities in terms of establishing public safety. I compliment all of the members of my group for being diligent in pursuing this process on a weekly basis. We continue to hammer away at this at every site that we possibly can use to provide the public safety. This city has a great opportunity to turn itself around, and if we get the public safety issue resolved, you can buy houses in the cities for pennies on the dollar. And if we can get the crime issue down, and I'm talking about the unreported crime as well as the reported crime, I think there can be a resurgence in the city. I have great optimism. It's been a hard fight. We, as I told the mayor back in March when we took on the police and fire issue, we are not going to go away until we achieve the objectives, which is 175 firemen, which is a newly adopted group, and 175 policemen.
So is your sense of the mayor's position now? You know, we've had prior interviews with you where you were somewhat pessimistic about the mayor's responsiveness. Is that maintained, or do you think that you've achieved some movement with the mayor?
We are cautiously optimistic. I'm saying that we're cautiously optimistic because we're looking forward to the new city council coming in, and I think that has become a priority issue with the majority of the new people coming in, as well as those who are already on board.
So although city council doesn't make the decision, going back to the resolution on the 3 fire captains, you expect more of that kind of thing if the mayor doesn't move along swiftly enough?
Absolutely. That'll be one of the tools. We have many tools to express the desires of the citizens of this community, and there are the newspapers and the radios and the televisions, because the citizens are demanding this. We're still seeing an exodus of people leaving the city for the reasons of public safety and security. We've had Group 175 had a meeting with the safety director Perry and the chief of police Lawver. I've also had.
When did that take place?
That took place about 2 months ago, in which we expressed our concern. We also talked about putting, and I keep hearing about technology, and technology is wonderful, and I subscribe to it 100%. But in our view, the best intelligence that you can get are boots on the street. I don't mean behind the steering wheel. I mean boots on the street, where the task force that's being run by the U.S. Marshals, along with the Sheriff's Department and the FBI, combined with the city of Canton, in terms of going door to door to pursue warrants, has given them, we're not surprised, has given them great intelligence on talking to folks who say this house over here is a problem and this house over here, and they have apprehended people in the pursuit of going after a warrant with one individual and arresting somebody who they were not specifically after because they were just in that area. Our position is that police presence inspires confidence in businesses, on out-of-towners who, in their mind, and we saw an article in the repository about perception, and crime is a perception, not just a reality, but it's a perception. And if we want to get this city turned around, we need not only citizens to move back into the city, we need folks from out of town, from the suburbs, to want to come into the downtown area. This is a great priority, and I said to Chief Lawver, I said, if we can put boots on the ground, walking into the tough neighborhoods, which are Shorb Avenue and Gibbs and the 19th and Maple area, we know that. We're out there knocking on doors. It's not a great mystery to the police department either. Talk to the officer on the beat. They know where they know where the problem spots are. And if the public can get a relationship with the policemen, who are not just driving down the street, and when the criminals see the taillights, they say, well, okay, we got X amount of time to do our mischief because that car is not going to be around again. When there's boots on the street, the neighbors will point out the trouble spots because the neighbors know where the trouble spots are. They want the police to help solve their problems, to protect their children, to protect their neighborhoods. We are solely behind it. We'd like to see walking patrols. I'm not talking bicycles. I'm talking walking patrols going down through the business section on Market Street, of which Michael Gibbs, through his SID group, working through the Chamber of Commerce, is pushing for in a very hard way. We'd like to see them go down Cleveland Avenue, stopping in to visit with the store owners, getting to know what their issues are and their problems are. That's where the communication is. That's not technology. That's face-to-face, and much information can be obtained from that, and I think it'll have a satisfying effect in the high crime areas as well as the businesses. And I think once people start to see that kind of thing happen, that's why we're pushing so hard for 175, because the police department particularly is still in a reactive state. They get calls from 911, and we know, because we speak to a lot of officers. In the process of going to that call, they'll get called off of that call sometimes 1, 2, and 3 times before they get to a crime site, and the ones that they get called off are not reported. So,
So I take it that you've communicated, your Group 175 has communicated to Chief Lawver what your desires are in terms of actually getting out into the neighborhood, walking and canvassing. And what kind of reaction are you getting from the chief?
The chief is very positive. However, he spreads so thin with reacting to the 911 calls that it's very difficult for him to allocate sufficient personnel. Whenever he does, they had the other day, I read in the repository, they had policemen out on a specific day that were looking to pull over people that were speeding through school zones. And it was a very productive day. They had 30 tickets issued in a matter of a day and a half. This is being proactive. We need enough officers, and we need enough firemen.
So 175 is critical, right?
175 is anxious. Progress is being made, and we're happy that the progress is being made. However, we're very impatient because all we're doing is talking for the citizens. We're not running for office. We have no financial gains to make out of this. We're just representing those folks in the difficult areas and those businesses that are very concerned about their ability to attract people to come into the city. Belden Village has got its share of problems too. I mean, I'm talking about the mall. They got their share of problems too. I mean, there's no place that's crime free. But if we're ever going to get people to come back in the city, the business owners and the citizens of this city have to feel that this is not a good place to do crime. So let's just go somewhere else out of Canton. We're very optimistic in pursuing this. However, at this point, we're very impatient because we haven't got the goal met, and we want the goal met. So we are going to continue to drive at this, and we're happy for the small gains that we're making, but we're impatient that it's not happening as fast as necessary.
Even to get modest hiring in the police department and the fire department, not even to your 175 level, the park levy's going to have to pass, isn't it? And so you get, $1.2 million that will then be shifted over into the general fund, so these modest hirings are concerned. Am I right on that? And if I am, where is the money going to come from to get to the 175? Because the hirings that are going to come out of the 1.2 million are not going to take you to 175 in either the police department or the fire department, right?
That's correct. The informal resolution that City Council passed stated.
This is the 3 captains, right?
No,
this is the one before that.
This is the one before that.
Councilman Morris, 9th Ward, did at your bidding.
Yes.
And would you just go into that just to refresh everybody's memory?
The informal resolution stated that when the Parks Levy passes, which will free up $1,200,000 to go into the general fund, that those monies be allocated for public safety, which means both the fire department and the police department, that those monies be allocated for that. We are prepared, should the park levy pass, to make sure that is actually put in addition to the 12 policemen and the 12 firemen, because every time these funds come in, I said to the mayor, when the first federal funding came in to pay for three-quarters of the salary for seven policemen, I said, well, you've already said that you're going to hire 12, and I said, I come from the old school. I still don't need a calculator to add up numbers. I said 12 plus 7 equals 19. Is it 19 that we're talking about? And he said, well, they're only going to be paid three-quarters of the salary. I said, okay. My quick math tells me that 12 plus 4.5 means that you're going to hire 16.5. Is that the number? He said, well, not necessarily. So when we get these funds in, we have to make sure that those funds are used on top of the monies already allocated for the police and fire, and not just put into the slush fund and say, we're not going to give you any more because they go into this fund.
So you're going to get the 12 policemen and 4 firemen, no matter if the park levy passes or not.
Well, it's 12 and 12.
It's 12 and 12?
It's 12 firemen, 12 policemen. The mayor has already committed to that.
No matter what happens.
No matter what happens.
And so you're saying that the 2.2 million should be an augmentation, but it still will not be enough to get you to 175. Am I correct on that?
We were of the position that when the mayor said he's hiring 12 firemen and 12 policemen, that it had nothing to do with the federal grants to pay for 7 veterans and 7 non-veterans. In our estimation, whatever federal funds come into should be on top of what the mayor said he was going to do, because the mayor said he was going to give us 12 firemen and 12 policemen before all this stuff started. So the way we had math, and as I say, I come from the old school, I don't need a calculator to figure it out, is that those monies are on top. Should the park levy pass, and the way we're looking at, that's plus.
How close are you going to get if all those things happen? How close are you going to get to your 175 police and fire, do you think?
Well, the fire is dragging seriously behind due to some confrontational issues between the mayor and the fire department over their backing candidates that were not favorable to the mayor. So there's an adversarial situation between the mayor and the fire department to begin with. We don't care about that. All we care about is the mission. We are going to get 175 policemen and 175 firemen. We are going to work at this. We are starting to see progress on the part of City Council. We are going to continue to hammer away at this. And if we don't see the results that we feel should be in place, then we're going to use all kinds of other areas, i.e. the media, to make sure that the pressure is put on. The citizens want this. Now we'll see what happens with the park levy. I don't want to get into a discussion what we're going to do should the park levy pass or not pass, because that's really a hypothetical. But should the park levy pass
just
or
for
not?
The record, you're hopeful that it passes, of course, right?
Well, it's kind of a backdoor situation. We were asked to support the parks levy by Derek Gordon several months ago. We said, and our position still remains the same, is that when the mayor gives us the $1,336,000 to hire the 25 policemen, we'll back the park levy. We don't have $1,336,000 today, nor are we going to get $1,336,000 by Election Day. So our position is unchanged. The fact that it's moving forward, we're not campaigning against it. We're just saying that we're not
You're
supporting
not
it.
campaigning for it either.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
we're just saying that we are not endorsing it.
Have the administration reacted to that position?
They've dismissed it.
Okay.
They've dismissed it.
Okay, well, what's your drop-dead timetable for getting to 175 policemen and 175 firemen?
Well, our drop-dead timetable is going to go in place with, number one, the Parks Levy approval or denial by the citizens. That's step one. Our drop-dead position is going to be the initiation of next year's budget, which will come into play sometime during January of next year. At that time, we are going to push with every amount of strength that we possibly can to get this done with the inclusion of the new budget. That's our goal.
And that is when you'll come up with a timetable, is when you can interact with City of Canton officials, the administration, on how much money is going to be made available to reach your goal of 175 in each the police and fire department.
Absolutely. The City Council is very aware of that. The mayor is very aware of that we are going to be actively involved in the submission of the budget, because this is when the administration lays out their planning for all departments, not just police and fire.
Do you have a sense of and I know you don't want to have it refined, but just in the ballpark sense, can you tell the viewers of this interview how much total money you think it'll take to get the police and the fire both to 175 people in force?
I don't have that money at this interview, but we will have that figure forthwith. We've been involved in a short-term goal at this point. We will sit down with the auditor's department and develop those numbers as we move forward towards the tail end of the year.
Would it be fair to say that even though you cannot articulate a specific number, that you think the money is there within the City of Canton finances to get to that goal?
Not as it's currently laid out. That's why we're going to be very involved in the budgetary process once we determine from the auditor's office what it's going to take, and after conferring with the safety director, the fire chief, and the police chief in terms of where they see retirements going for the next year, and that's what we're looking for.
It's somewhat of a complicated process, correct?
It's very complicated.
Right.
It's not as complicated as that. Determining where it is not
less
not
complicated than the mayor suggested. Is that fair?
It's black and white. It's not complicated at all. It's a matter of his arriving at a position and stating where it is. Now, I understand that he has to see the auditor's figures by the end of the year, and we can't create money where there isn't money to be created. But we are pushing hard to look at and how the monies are spent and where the priorities exist. And as far as the citizens of this city are concerned, we have to look at every expenditure that we're making in other departments to see whether that is just nice feel-good stuff or whether it's really necessary for the city, because the number one priority in the city is public safety. That's a no-brainer. You ask anybody on the street what it is, that's the number one priority.
And the perception right now, your take on it, you get out and about in the city, is that Canton is not a safe city.
Correct. We produced a study which we provided to the mayor and the city council about 2 months ago that showed the city of Canton, and all the public officials have it, which shows the city of Canton, in terms of violent crime, is listed as the 62nd most dangerous city in the United States of America. The only city in Ohio that preceded it as more dangerous was the city of Cleveland. Not Cincinnati, not Dayton, Ohio. Akron didn't even make the top 100, nor did Dayton. Cincinnati made it, Lima made it, but the 62nd most dangerous city in the United States was considered to be Canton. Now, my position, and when I made that report, is that Money Magazine and Fortune and Town and Country and other national publications list the top 25 or 50 cities in which to live in the United States of America, be it small cities, medium cities. I said, our goal is to get Canton on that list. It is doable. It is really doable if we commit ourselves, one, to get the public safety issue taken care of. The other thing that we got involved with is the Beat Maslin parade and the decorations and so on and so forth, which are unifying things. And we are looking to do whatever we can to unify the city. From the standpoint of talking to the churches for public safety and to getting the community together. I was just at the commissioners meeting urging them to put out the information about the parade, because these are kinds of things that start to make people proud of their city. Yeah. That's an aside, but the safety issue most certainly is the foundation under which all this is built.
Well, there's a stake in this for people who do not live in Canton. You know, Canton is the county seat. Mm-hmm. A lot of folks outlying in Stark County come to the city of Canton. So, although they don't have a say in what happens within the city of Canton from a financial taxpayer standpoint, they can make an input because they do have a stake in this. Is my read correct on that in your judgment?
Absolutely. The folks that don't reside in Canton, this being the county seat, we want to bring in from the outlying areas to feel safe, to want to do business, to attend events here, and all of that brings revenue to businesses in the city of Canton. The commissioners meeting in which we sits right downtown in Canton. The courthouse does too, and many businesses and restaurants in which we contact, and particularly through our efforts with fostering and working with the city schools of Canton and the 100 Bulldog Booster Club to get this parade going, to get the city to start to decorate. We went to a lot of these restaurants and bars and so forth to solicit funds from them, and their concern is that people who they know that live in the feel unsafe in coming to the city, so it becomes, no matter how good your menu is, you're diminishing the ability for those businesses to prosper. And we want businesses to move downtown. Our focus is on downtown, and part of that is having enough police and fire to adequately service the city, so that folks, when they make decisions about where they're going to buy a house, look at the city of Canton, which has got to be a phenomenal value. When I bought here 12 years ago, I was shocked at how much bang I could get for my buck. It's even better now, and if people can see that and can feel safe moving to the city, we're going to have a tremendous influx of people coming to this city, and
businesses located here too.
And businesses coming in.
Right. Now, just to wrap things up here, I want to make sure that we have fix on when you think you will know. And when I say you, I mean Group 175. the final cost, what it's going to take. Is it going to be January of 2014, February, when you think you'll know, when the auditor's records have been looked at and examined? Is that a time when we will know pretty sure what it's going to take in terms of total dollars?
We'll know it far before then. We'll know it probably in 30 days. Let's
30
say,
days?
let's say 1st of December.
Okay.
We'll have that number. Now, how that number can be implicated in terms of where we see it, we'll have to see where the dollars are, but we'll have those numbers. Those are not difficult numbers to arrive at. Our position is not to set a goal and compromise. We may be forced into a compromising position, but our position is not to compromise because these are the numbers that are needed. So we're going to continue to hammer
So you're
away.
full bore, Group 175. When you say 175, that's where you're headed.
That's our number. Our
Police
number is not
and
going to
fire.
change. Our number is not going to change. It is not going to 174 because of the mayor's actions in terms of his car with the flashing light. We want him to stay right where he is and to get that other officer out full time into the cities. We're making progress, not as fast as we want. But we're impatient because the citizens are impatient in the city, and we want to stop the outflow of folks leaving this city and businesses closing their doors. We want to turn this around, and this is why we got involved with the Beat Massillon effort, because it's a positive thing for the city, and we're looking for other positive things in addition to our pursuit of just a safety issue. So 175 is expanding its umbrella even to get into the budgetary process, because we know that's from coming into the middle of the race here. That we have to be involved right from the start in terms of working with the city council and the mayor to prioritize the budget allocations for public safety.
Well, thank you, Bruce Nordman, for sharing with the viewers of the videos of the Stark County Political Report all the finer details of how you're going to get to 175 policemen and 175 firemen, full strength, for the city of Canton. So thanks again.
Well, you're more than welcome, and we'll have another discussion on the money allocations that we need to get us at that strength no later than December 1st, and that's the number we're going to carry under our arm when we go into the budgetary process.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.